In 2020, Prince Harry signed deals reportedly worth over £100 million. By 2023, a Spotify executive called him a grifter on a public podcast. The gap between those two moments tells you everything about what went wrong. Harry walked away from the royal family in search of freedom. The money followed. But 4 years later, Spotify had publicly cut ties. Netflix shifted to a smaller project-by-project arrangement, and the cost of independence kept climbing. So here is the question. Where did the money actually go, and was any of it worth what he gave up? This is the story of the £100 million decision that changed everything. On the 8th of January 2020, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle released a statement that shook the British monarchy. They would step back as senior royals. They wanted financial independence. They wanted freedom. What followed was one of the most luxurious exits in royal history. Within months, the couple had signed deals reportedly worth over £100 million, Netflix, Spotify, and a book deal with the Penguin Random House. It looked like the ultimate win. Harry had escaped the institution he blamed for his mother's death and his wife's misery, and he was going to get rich doing it. But 5 years later, where did the money actually go? The Netflix deal was announced in September 2020. $100 million over 5 years to produce documentaries, films, and scripted shows through their company, Archewell Productions. But here is what most people do not understand. That $100 million was not a check to Harry and Meghan personally. A significant portion covers staff salaries, office costs, production expenses, legal, and PR. The actual amount in their pockets is considerably less. And then there is the question of what they delivered. In 5 years, they produced the Harry and Meghan docuseries, which became Netflix's most watched documentary debut. They also released Live to Lead, Heart of Invictus, Polo, and With Love Meghan, projects that made minimal impact. An animated series called Pearl was cancelled before production began. The uncomfortable truth is this: the only content that performed was content about the royal family, the institution they left, the family they accused. Every time they tried something unrelated to royalty, the audience shrugged. By mid-2025, reporting suggested Netflix would not renew the original deal structure. Instead, a first-look arrangement, project by project, with no guaranteed money. The fairy tale. Netflix deal lasted 5 years. At the end of it, Harry and Meghan were essentially starting over. But Netflix was not the most embarrassing collapse. That belongs to Spotify. In December 2020, they signed a deal reportedly worth $25 million to produce podcasts. 3 years later, they had produced exactly one. Meghan's Archetypes, 12 episodes. 12 episodes. 3 years, $25 million. In June 2023, Spotify and Archewell parted ways. They did not receive the full contract value, but the real damage came after. Bill Simmons, Spotify's head of podcast innovation, went on his own podcast and called them grifters. He said Spotify should have launched a show called The Grifters with them. He said he had a story about a Zoom call with Harry trying to develop a podcast idea, and he would need to be drunk to tell it properly. A senior executive at a global platform publicly calling a member of the British royal family a grifter. That is not normal backlash. That is the industry signalling the relationship has turned poisonous. So where did the money actually come from? The book. In 2021, Harry signed a 4-book deal reportedly worth $35 to $40 million. The centerpiece was his memoir, Spare. It became the fastest-selling non-fiction book of all time. 400,000 copies on the first day in the UK alone. Harry reportedly received a $20 million advance plus royalties. Spare made Harry rich, but it came at extraordinary cost. He described a physical altercation with William. He called his brother his arch nemesis. He accused Camilla of leaking stories. He revealed he killed 25 Taliban fighters. The book was a grenade thrown into the heart of the royal family, permanent, on the record. Harry has said there will be no sequel, perhaps because there is nothing left to reveal. Here is the irony at the heart of Harry's business model. Every major success came from one source: his family, the family he left, the family he profits from. The Netflix documentary that worked was about the royals. The book that sold millions was about the royals. The interviews that commanded global attention were about the royals. When they try something else, a podcast about female stereotypes, a documentary about polo, a cooking show, the audience disappears. They are not famous for being talented content creators. They are famous for being royal. And they have spent 5 years damaging the very asset that makes them valuable. Now consider the expenses. In 2020, they purchased a mansion in Montecito for $14.65 million. 9 bedrooms, 16 bathrooms, annual operating costs in 6 figures, staff, maintenance. And then there is security. When they stepped back as working royals, they lost taxpayer-funded protection in the UK. Harry sued the British government to get it back. He lost. He appealed. He lost again. In May 2025, he lost at the Court of Appeal. UK taxpayers spent hundreds of thousands defending against his cases. Harry was ordered to pay a large portion of the government's costs. So Harry spent years and enormous sums trying to get British taxpayers to pay for security he walked away from. And he lost every single time. The security fight also cost him something money cannot buy. According to reports, the lawsuits deepened the rupture with his family. King Charles reportedly declined meetings during UK visits. Freedom, it turns out, is expensive and lonely. Meghan's business ventures tell a similar story. In March 2024, she announced a lifestyle brand called American Riviera Orchard. Celebrity friends posted about receiving numbered jars of jam. It looked like a perfect launch. There was one problem. There were no products to buy. April passed, then May, then June, still no products. Trademark complications emerged. By late 2024, the brand still had no clear product line for sale. In February 2025, she changed the name entirely. American Riviera Orchard became as ever. Products finally appeared later. The rollout was a masterclass in how not to launch a lifestyle brand. Now step back and look at the full picture. Harry and Meghan left with deals reportedly worth around $165 million. Here is what actually happened. Netflix shifted to a smaller arrangement. Spotify collapsed after 12 episodes, and a public accusation of being grifters. The book made money, but cost Harry his family. Meanwhile, the expenses are relentless. Security in the millions. A mansion costing 6 figures annually. Staff, legal fees. A lifestyle requiring constant cash flow. What is their combined net worth today? Estimates suggest approximately $60 million. 60 million sounds like a lot, but put it in context. Prince William benefits from institutional assets worth over $1 billion, generating vast annual income, plus housing and security provided by the state. Harry started with roughly 30 million in inheritance. After 5 years of blockbuster deals and relentless controversy, he has roughly doubled his money. That is not failure, but it is not the transformation he promised either. Here is the fundamental problem. They only have one product: royal drama. When they produce content about the institution, it performs. When they try anything else, it disappears. But every time they sell the royal story, they deplete the asset. Fewer secrets to reveal, fewer relationships to sacrifice, fewer bombshells to drop. They are trapped in a paradox. The only thing that makes them valuable is the thing they are trying to escape. And every time they monetize it, they make the final escape more impossible. So what did Harry actually give up? His military titles, Frogmore Cottage, his relationship with his brother, his relationship with his father, his children's proximity to their British family, the effortless legitimacy that comes from being inside the system. And what did he gain? A wife he loves, 2 children, a mansion in California, freedom from protocol and the British press, but also a reputation as a complainer, as someone who attacks his family for money, as, in the words of a Spotify executive, a grifter. I want to be fair to Harry. His life has not been easy. He was 12 when his mother died in a crash while being chased by paparazzi. He walked behind her coffin while the world watched. He served 10 years in the British Army. He founded the Invictus Games for wounded veterans. He fell in love with a woman the British tabloids treated brutally. He wanted to protect his wife and children from the machine he believes killed his mother. That is not unreasonable. That is human. But somewhere along the way, protection became attack. Privacy became publicity. Escape became monetization. Harry did not just leave the royal family. He monetized leaving. He sold his trauma. He sold his family's secrets. He sold his grievances. And the companies buying were not paying because they cared about Harry. They were paying because royal drama sells. The platforms got content, controversy, clicks. Harry got money. But he lost something harder to replace: goodwill. In 2020, Prince Harry was one of the most popular royals. By the mid-2020s, polling showed his approval had fallen dramatically in the UK. He went from the cheeky prince everyone loved to a figure of controversy and division. That is the hidden cost of the £100 million decision. Not just family relationships, not just professional reputation, but the loss of goodwill from millions who once wished him well. His brother will be king one day. His nephew George will be king after that. Harry's children will grow up American, 3,000 miles from their heritage, watching their cousins become the most famous family in the world. The spare chose to leave, but leaving was the easy part. In 2020, Prince Harry promised financial independence. 5 years later, the deals are smaller, the costs are higher, and the fairy tale he sold is not coming true. Prince Harry is worth $60 million. His brother William is worth over $1 billion. Was it worth it? That is for Harry to decide. But the £100 million decision that was supposed to set him free has left him caught between two worlds, no longer fully royal and never fully independent.